Tower, this is Tango Delta Lima requesting permission to fly through the tunnel.
Tango Delta Lima, this is Tower. Permission, they need return to base immediately.
Pull up. Altitude. Altitude. Pull up. Altitude. Altitude.
Let me start this video off by saying I do not enjoy flight simulators.
What?
Let me explain. I have never in my life wanted to spend hours and hours reading real life manuals and learning the ins and outs of a fighter jet cockpit just to get shot out of the air by a SAM within 5 minutes of taking off. So why is it that I'm currently addicted to VTOL VR? I think the reason is that there is one big difference between VTOL VR and other flight simulators. VTOL VR is not a flight simulator and it doesn't pretend to be either. The Steam store page even describes it as a combat flight game, not a combat flight sim. The jets in the game are inspired by real life counterparts, but internally aren't as detailed or as in depth as you would expect to find in an equivalent flight simulator. It's this rejection of simulation that for me makes VTOL VR the perfect balance of being realistic enough to make you feel like a skilled fighter jet pilot, but without the headache of having to read a 100-page manual in order to understand how to start your engines and make it off the runway in the first place. There's definitely a learning curve when it comes to flying the jets, so it's not as simple as hopping into a jet, pushing a button and taking off. Instead, there are a number of in-game mechanics that you need to learn and eventually master in order to be a successful fighter pilot in VTOL. This is what makes VTOL VR so fun and is a big reason why I regret not picking it up sooner. Unlike traditional flight simulators that rely on an overwhelming number of keyboard commands or a physical HOTAS, VTOL VR lets you use your gamer gunk covered digits to flick up covers, pinch toggles and push buttons. Controlling the throttle and joystick are also done by gripping your controllers and respond one-to-one to your real life inputs. Being able to reach out and touch every control in the aircraft is what sets VTOL apart from any other flight based game. It strikes the perfect balance between realism and fun when it comes to controlling the jets in the game and allows everyone to enjoy the game without too steep of a learning curve. I'll admit, the first time I loaded into VTOL, I was pretty bamboozled. It was intimidating seeing all these buttons, toggles and knobs in front of me and having no idea what any of them do, except for this one right here. Luckily the game does have a number of tutorials that try to teach you the basics, but since TikTok demolished my attention span, I found myself missing certain steps and having no idea what I was supposed to do next. During these tutorials, I also couldn't stop thinking that my flight instructor sounded suspiciously like Bob Belcher from Bob's Burgers, which was very distracting.
We're now ready to start up the engines. Keep an eye on the engine gauges and wait for the RPM to settle.
Once you've made your way through all of these tutorial missions, which takes a good couple of hours, the game has a pretty fun campaign mode which gives you the chance to take everything you learned during the tutorials and use your new skills across a variety of different scenarios. There are currently 2 campaigns in the game. There is the Island, where you fly the AV-42C, and Operation Desert Cobra, where you pilot the FA-26B, with each campaign having around 7 to 8 missions. The Island campaign takes place on an island known as Akutan, where we received a briefing that an enemy attack on the island is imminent, and it's up to us to help defend the island. Our first mission was to transport our troops to a SAM site located in a nearby coastal city, which is easier said than done.
Some soldiers need a ride to the SAM site on the other side of the island. Open your doors to let them in and fly them to their objective waypoint. Command out.
Right engine failure.
After a rocky start, we dropped the troops off at the SAM site, but before we could head back to base and call it a day, command came over the radio to let us know that one of my fellow pilots had encountered a skill issue and had ploughed their jet into the ground of another nearby island.
Good job with the transport. Now we got a report that an AV-42 went down over the small island to the south. We're not sure what hit him, so meet up with the fighter wing and let him escort you to the crash site. Your objectives have been updated. Out.
It was up to me to rescue these poor souls and take them to the nearby hospital.
Take those soldiers to medical in South City. It's a rooftop landing pad. Your objectives have been updated. Command out.
Landing gear.
I completely missed the landing pad, but luckily I got the injured troops there in one piece. It was time to head back to base and take a well-deserved break.
Over T.
I finished the mission with a textbook landing. All of this action happened just in the first mission, which is crazy. Even without any combat, it's a great start to the campaign and wasn't exactly a walk in the park. However, the next mission gives us our first taste of combat. Command has briefed us that there is a drone carrier deploying mines off the south of the island. It was up to me and a few of my wingmen to take out these drones and destroy the mine-laying ships.
Meet up with the fighter escort wing before heading out to the strike waypoint. Good luck out there. Command out.
Left engine failure.
This is Victor Wing, forming on you. Lead the way to the AO. Looks like there's some kind of carrier with the same radio controls we saw before. Go ahead, focus on the boats. We'll take care of the air targets.
Engaging the enemy. Missile incoming, go evasive.
Fox 2. That carrier seems to be armed. Could you help out by targeting its weapons?
In the missile dodged. Heading back in. Fox 2, Fox 2. Splash.
Fox 2. Missile missed.
Splash. Guns.
Altitude. Altitude. Pull up. Altitude. Altitude.
Okay, all mine boats have been destroyed. We're clear to return to base. But if you want, you can stick around and help out with the air drone targets and the carrier. Out. Guns, guns, guns.
All of the ships and drones were destroyed and it was time to head back to base. Another textbook landing. I do regret not picking up VTOL VR sooner. It is a masterclass in how fun virtual reality can be when it's done right. If you ever need to convince someone to get into VR, show them this game. If you enjoy VTOL VR and want to see more, be sure to subscribe as there's a lot more content on the way.